guess one of the things that keeps me working is I really enjoy working on these old bikes. Yeah, they're a pain in the ass sometimes and they're frustrating, but it's nice to see bikes that are kept in good shape with the old years. Bike's got GMA brakes on it and GMA master cylinder. It's ironically enough, I look at it, I see my fork legs that I made many years ago. It has a set of those on it. So things have changed through different hands through the years. We made the seat for it, and the gentleman that owned it was a big guy. So we moved all the forward controls ahead, about 4 inches, to make it more comfortable for him. This is the 4-inch extension plate where we moved everything out, and I made the forward controls for these again quite a few years ago. I believe it's 6'4", 6'5", something like that. So we've got a problem with it today. The front cylinder doesn't seem to be firing. It's a single fire ignition, so we're going to try and figure out what the story is on it. So today we're going to try to figure out why the single fire is not firing. The front cylinder didn't seem to be firing, and I fired it up and the front cylinder is cold. So we're not quite sure what it could be, but we're going to start with the easy things first. So I'm going to start by taking the plugs out. That way we can turn the bike over. You want to check for spark. It's not going to start on you. Turn the gas off. So we're just going to take a plug and stick it in the wire. Find a spot where you can rest the electrode on the motor here. I'm thinking I can reach. Yeah. All right then. Turn the key on. Grab this with these lady pliers. I'm just going to lay it against the head and turn the bike over. We got a nice fat spark there on that one. So I know this plug wire is good and this plug is good, so I'm going to pull this one. Stick it in there, and I'm just going to do the same thing. Since I'm not firing the bike, it doesn't matter about order, but I know that the plug wire is good and the plug is good. We've got nothing coming up. She's dead in the water. So, looks like we got I would probably venture to guess it was a coil problem because I know that the Dyna ignition was replaced in it, the crane ignition, and this is still got not a Dyna coil on it, so at the time we just went with what was there. So we'll have to get a coil and see what we can do. We'll try another couple other checks to make sure that the Dyna is firing in fact, and we'll take it from there. Sometimes you can't overlook the obvious, and just to be sure, even though we had them firing on one short spark plug wire, that we weren't sure about the front spark plug wire. So we're going to hook this up and just stick a plug in it. Once again, turn the key on. Hit. Spark there, so now we'll change to the other plug wire. Coil appeared to test out all right. And we have spark there, although it appears to be a bit erratic on that. So I'm going to put the plugs back in it and give it a try and see what happens. So obviously we can see it was a simple thing as the plug wire. The customer wasn't able to switch the coil wires because of the very short one on the rear. switch plugs, things like that. But so it just shows you that there's a simple problem and a simple fix to something. Look at the obvious or unobvious, whatever you want to call it, of what it might be. And sometimes you'll save yourself a whole bunch of work of tearing something all apart and then finding out, it's simply a plug wire. So we'll put a new set of plug wires on there for them and it'll be good to go. Once we got the bike running, we have to change the oil on this thing as well. So I started looking around, just checking over items that you might see. And as we looked in at the cylinders, we've got oil all around here running off, right in the head gasket connection there. We've also got it going on right here, is all completely oily all across here. So it looks like the best thing for us to do is go along and retorque these heads down for the customer, check his base nuts as well. We'll take it from there to figure out what might be next. So we've done a bunch of calculations and figured out our different torques for the different types of wrenches that we have and the extensions that we have to get in there. These are store-bought 9/16 snap-on type of extension. They're great for getting in there. Sometimes if there's not enough space or the angle, we've made up these different ones. So I've stuck a socket on just a bar like this, the ends bent up so you can give them a pull to see what they're at, and they seem to be fairly loose. So we've taken our calculations and figured out what we need to torque these at. I'm going to start at 55 pounds a piece and try to even it out all around because I have no idea really where it's at. So we've done the calculations on our torque wrench and we've set it at 42 pounds. That'll give us 55 when we're done. We're going to try to use our little unit like this, which allows us to put our torque wrench up in it like that, and we can pull and get the torque. Otherwise, upside down, it wouldn't be right. We bent this up to use on different occasions like this, and it served us pretty well. Let's just try. If you're not quite where you want to be, just turn your socket around. One click, and that will change the whole general positioning of it. And right there, you're able to go up. So we can put our torque wrench. Before we do, take a moment to put this clean rag. That's what I brought it out here for. You never know what you drop and when you drop it. Okay, we're up on it. That appears to be pretty loose. Get it right there. Okay, so there we are. Oh, they're always a real joy to get at. Now we've got a little longer socket to put on it to go around the shift rod. Once again, our torque wrench, and try to keep your torque wrench in line with your extension. If it's not in place, flick it around a couple turns so you can get it. There we go. 42 there. Okay. So we're going to go around and do the rest of the cylinders, and then we'll come back. So to be able to get at all the cylinder bolts, we may have to remove a few things. We've got like this bracket here, which the cables were tied up to, and the bracket on the other side is held together by the center bolt here. Both of those have to be removed, especially on the other side where you'll have no swing at all. We've got a wrench on the other side. Pull that out far enough so that we know we've got the other side attached, detached. So now we're just going to reach through here with this little adapter. Somebody's got a torque type fastener on it. Gonna have to take that right out to get that bracket off and out of our way. Now we can go around and torque on the other side. This is where one of our small specialty tools comes in handy. Along with being able to torque, these bolts on the inside here are always hard to get at. With our little tool, we can get right up on it there to start with, get an idea of where we're at. There we go. Straighten that out. Make sure we're seated up there and give it a little pull. Well, that one's still good at 42. Try to get in here at the back one. A little harder to get a straight throw on it. On that one. And that one's tight. So now we've set our torque wrench for 50 pounds, and that is going to give us 65 on the other end. So we're going to go around and do the same sequence that we did, starting back here with the rear one, which is usually the hardest. Turn the socket, one turn, gives you a little better chance of lining up. There we go. Okay. So now we're just going to go along and finish up the sequence all around at 55 pounds and clean it off, and hopefully it had just started to leak and we got it in time. It should make a difference in any case, because it would certainly only get worse. So we'll finish that up. We'll check the base nuts as well as we're going, and we'll get back to it. That should be it. Last one. So we've got things torqued down now. Sometimes there's some controversy about torquing patterns. Everybody can do whatever they want. Crisscross, I did different things for many years. And then I came across this on the internet and I started trying to use it on the shovels that I had. And I found I had great success with it. It made perfect sense. It was closing up the oil hole first, as they do on an Evo. So this is a little sheet on them. And I just downloaded it off the internet, and I've always kept it handy. That gives you an idea of a torquing sequence. And as you can see, it's closing up the oil holes first, right? 1 and 2, pulling it down tight there and then torquing around. Yeah, it's a great system, and it works really well. I've had good success with it, so that's all I can say. It's not the way to do it, but it's worked for me. We're just going to take this one and wire wheel it, clean the threads off before we put it back into the carburetor. So some of the uses for these little wrenches are quite handy. As you've seen, this one that we could use the torque wrench with, because the end of it is upside down like that. We also have this one here. And this one can also be very handy for getting into places. Getting in underneath, such as that. You know, just gives you that little bit of extra. You can't use your torque wrench unless you have a torque wrench that pulls in that direction. But in those kind of uses, a person can use a bar wrench, one of these. And you can also pull on that there and get your torque pounds off of this in a bit. So they're very handy. There's a little snap-on one. They're readily available. Well, the problem with them is, though, in most cases, some cases, they will go up here and fit on, and you can put your torque wrench on them, and that's great. Tight quarters, they're great for putting your nuts in, you know, working with them, putting them in. So sometimes there's not quite enough space behind the nut in between the cylinders if they haven't been relieved before they've been put on. So you have to use different sorts of implements. But we found over all the years I've been working on stuff that this one and this one have been invaluable working on a shovel head. All right, let's give her a go. She don't run too good when she runs out of fuel. All right. Happy camper.